So there's an interactive component and website component to the film. How do fans engage with the film via the blog?
So the site and the blog are just opportunities for us to continue the storytelling in the film, and so it's a mix of things. It's either posts about related topics, for instance, attacks on other newspapers in Mexico, ongoing conversations about freedom of the press. But we've also created some original media for the blog, so you'll have interviews with the editor of Set, Della Navarro, talking about what it was like to be a subject of a documentary. The idea is to kind of continue the storytelling. But for us, it's a very modest experiment. And I'm thinking about, and I talk to a lot of other filmmakers about the possibilities of new media storytelling and interactive storytelling. And as I was saying before, I think there's a lot of hype, and there's a lot of there's a lot of interest in new media and interactive storytelling, and there's a few examples that have started to come out that are compelling, but I still feel like there hasn't been a groundbreaking example of an interactive documentary that has had the kind of cultural impact that many classic documentaries have. Films like Harlan County, or films like The Panama Deception, or these films that have really changed politics or legislation or the way people think about things. And I know that time is coming with interactive documentaries. It's just that we're in a period where there are a lot of very smart and talented people working on developing these projects, but that we haven't started to see the kind of these projects emerge and really impact the culture in a big way. And I will be criticized for saying that, but it's you have tech people and developers and very smart software people on one side, and then you have kind of more traditional filmmakers on the other side. And once people can kind of create that hybrid project, then we'll start to see some really interesting things. And all of that is just to say that our little blog is a very kind of modest way of beginning to think about, okay, well, what could be possible? With funding, with support, we could do more interactive things. And there's a great project right now called Herman's House that films about solitary confinement. It's about, I believe it's the prisoner who's serving the longest solitary sentence in the U.S. And for that project, that film was really about this person imagining a space outside of his cell, imagining kind of his dream house. And so for that film, Herman's House created this incredible website. It's a 3D animation of this of Herman's dream house, of this prisoner's dream house. So it's this interactive space where you can take a tour of the space, and when you touch objects, like you can touch a letter, it'll open up and you'll get an archival piece of his story. There'll be a narrative element. So that's really interesting. I think things like that are kind of pushing the envelope. But for the time being, Herman's House, the documentary, the film, is having more impact than this interactive documentary, even though this interactive project is so interesting. I could be wrong about that, but I think for the time being, documentary films, broadcast films, theatrical films, streaming, those films can still have more impact than cultural impact than interactive projects. So.
Are you considering any other transmedia or interactive components to add to the film?
I'm working on new projects now, and I'm definitely thinking about transmedia projects now, and I think it's probably better to think that way, so that to conceive of a project from the ground up, where you're not just thinking of the new media elements as an add-on, but rather as an integral part of the project from the beginning. So I was commissioned to make a series. I'm working on a 2 one-hour series that'll air on Independent Lens in September, about Latino high school students called The Graduates, and it's a fully bilingual series, and we're basically profiling 6 different students in 6 different school districts. So it's a look at the kind of challenges facing districts, a look at the the so-called dropout crisis, but through the stories of 6 different students. So for that, we have been thinking about interactive elements and a transmedia approach. And then I've just begun researching another project about forensic anthropologists that began in Argentina. And for that, I'm starting to think about data visualization and ways to connect with viewers that way. But I think for me, it's all very exploratory, and I think I just, for me, I would want the interactive elements to be really driven by the narrative, not just as bells and whistles or toys. I mean, what I see a lot of in the world is filmmakers using these interactive approaches, not taking them seriously, but just kind of as add-ons or something that you need to do right now because it's trendy, as opposed to really thinking about how can I tell a story in a new way.